This screencast is about preparing images for jobs that are going to be printed in different editions on different continents. And the problem is that as the printing inks, the printing process that is used in Europe and let's say US is slightly different, the ink pigments are different, so the same file printed here and there would look different. For that, printers are asking us to prepare the images with particular standard profile they are following. In Europe, that's typically ISO coated V2 300% and swap in US. Now, let's presume we are speaking about a magazine. That's of course going to have some ads. We are going to ask the clients to send in prepared CMYK files and do everything possible not to touch these. Of course, we should tell also the ad people what are the correct profiles, but our point is not to touch their files. We're just placing these in InDesign and outputting as is. Editorial images, a different story, and we can very easily work in RGB in Photoshop, place the RGB images in InDesign and make the correct separations just at the moment when we are outputting the files. And of course, all of the settings I'm going to demonstrate guarantee that the ads and everything else we have prepared in CMYK will not change through the process. So first, let's go into Photoshop and from Edit menu, color settings to check what we are having here currently. As usually, the default settings are North American General Purpose 2, which among other things doesn't have the profile the US printer has been asking from us. So when we pick here more options, we are able to choose the European prepress settings. But again, the profile that's provided here is not the same one which is suggested by printer, so we must get the correct profile from somewhere. What I do suggest is that you go into the European Color Initiative website, etsy.org, and here in the left column is downloads, and somewhere in the middle, very difficult to find, is the way to download the 2009 profiles. Perhaps you are looking at the screencast later, so check you are having the latest profiles. Or you can also download the profiles from Uniprint's FTP server, folder ICC, where I keep the latest profiles we suggest to use together with a README file describing what paper to use, what paper needs what profile. Now, I have actually downloaded this already. They are in my profiles folder, and I should copy these to my Mac's hard disk. There is library, ColorSync, profiles, and actually here is a subfolder named recommended, and if we put the profiles there, then it will be sure that everything is available in nice places in all following dialogues. So let's see, we need to close that and reopen so it recognizes the new profiles. And now we can select once more European prepress and see we have here ISO coated V2 300 exactly as requested. Now when we have made these specific settings, let's save them and say they are Europe prepress ISO V2 300. So we can easily synchronize the settings in all of our applications. That's most easily done in Adobe's Bridge. Here in Edit, Creative Suite Color Settings, we now see the settings we just created in Photoshop, and we can just apply these, so the InDesign will have now the exactly same settings. In Photoshop, we are going to work on a image, and this is a frog from Choichi Ito's Flickr stream that has Creative Commons license that permits us to use that. And we are going to prepare the image in RGB to exactly the likeness we wanted to appear. The only thing where I'd like to draw your attention to is that when you look at the view, and here is gamut warning, and this is showing all of the greens that are unprintable in offset. Now when we turn that off, then we should now do something with the greens. Perhaps maybe we need to change the image a bit to be more better printable. And I do suggest you go into view, proof setup, and choose the actual ISO coated profile for proofing, screen proofing profile. And we can see how that changes the image, because it gets mapped into the possibilities of the printing profile. And perhaps we need to add a bit more of the contrast and sharpness to this RGB image to make it look nice in the print. But okay, that's another story. We now presume that the image has been prepared correctly, and we are going to just place it in InDesign. And we go into InDesign, and we can check from the color settings that everything is as we set it up in Photoshop. All of the settings have been brought over. Very nice. Now, we have actually earlier already worked with a magazine before finding these instructions. So when we are going to open our earlier version, it will give us some profile mismatch warnings. And first, RGB images. Well, I do suggest we say that our default is Adobe RGB, so it's the same everywhere, and we keep the RGB profiles that came with photos, so let's hope the photographers knew what they were doing. It's completely different with CMYK, and here I do suggest we adjust it so the assigned profile will be always the European printing profile, and if any of the placed content does have any profiles, then we disable that to make sure none of the placed ads get changed when we are going to output these. So here's our print job, and when we're looking in info, picking the photo, yes, this is a sRGB profile. We have placed the same image from Photoshop. Now we're going to output that, and I like to print and distill, so I'm going to print and quickly set up a workflow. Okay, here is the printer. Let's choose PostScript file, and for Adobe, and all pages setup is a custom page size. Marks, we put crop marks, offset 3 mm, document bleed, okay, composite CMYK, graphics all, fonts all, color management. Okay, and this will be the European version, so we are just using the printer profile as the document CMYK, nothing to be changed. In advanced, let's make sure the flattener is high resolution, and we can actually output the file for European edition, and let's say it's EU.ps, and now it's producing the print file. Then we need to make the second version, which let's make a very small change here also visually, so we know it's different, and file, print, everything remains exactly the same, except in color management we are going to choose now the profile that the American printer wanted us to use, that was swap grade 3, and preserve CMYK numbers. Save, and let's say it's US. And we will now have two files that we can distill into PDF that have pictures separated with different profiles.